What's up, everyone? I'm Derek with Firehouse Bowfishing. I got with me here today the Loxley Bowfishing spring slides. They were nice enough to mail us down some to demo out for them, so we're going to go tie them up and hit the water and try to stick some fish. Stay tuned and we'll let you know how they do. Alright, so we got our spring slides here. Squeeze them together. This one's kind of opened up, so I'm assuming that one's going to take some of the shock. I'm not really sure, so we'll put that towards the screw. And then, unlike all my other ones, these are actually Allen keys, so that's going to be different. We'll have to get the Allen tool out every time, but we'll kind of screw that in and see how well this threads into the holes. Threads in there and bites good. It's got good grip to it. But I'm kind of curious if it's going to be too long. And no, it's not. That's flush fitting, all the way tightened down, so they actually cut the screws to the right length, so that's a plus. A lot of times you don't see that, so kudos to them. Get our string out and tie this thing up, and then we'll hit this water and fish. So I like to tie a figure 8. Leave me a lot of tail. And we'll just pinch it, go through that hole, which is kind of small on this little slide. This might pose a difficulty tying these compared to normal. Okay, we're through, so take that, run it down over the tip with my loop end, come back over the knock, and pull tight. My knot's behind the arrow, it's cinched on there, free sliding up down the arrow. So alright, so I was going to go over a couple of the different slides. We have an AMS slide with their screw and rubber stopper, and as you see, when this hits, it's static, it doesn't move. And a lot of times we have problems with this black plastic piece breaking off, and then you have that much threads on your screw showing off, and a lot of times we just end up breaking screws off on these. So what we've done is upgraded to the Muzzies. They have a lot better system of this black rubber bumper. They actually have a little metal stop on there, so when it hits, also it's static, it doesn't have any movement, but we're not breaking these off nearly as ever. Actually, we've never actually broke those off. So with the spring just has a screw. There's no kind of rubber to stop this at all. But as you can see, whenever you come and load up on your fish, it's actually got some shock absorbers. So will that help? Will it hurt? Will it just stretch out? I don't know if it's going to make a difference or not, but kind of like how it holds there. So I guess we'll go find out. I don't think you can get a better shot than that. So the safety slide worked like we thought it would, but not much of a fish to test it out on. Cold, slow night though, so cool to have a fish in the boat. Right in the dome. take that back. He wasn't getting off. Right in the dome. That's a good test. Got wrapped up around the trolling motor. That held. Can't tell. Hasn't stretched the spring any, so arrow still looks like it's in good shape. It's not rubbing on the arrow any. Alright, so I came down here to the pond today. It's about 25 degrees. It's iced over, so we're shooting through the ice, breaking it up, driving it down to the mud. I'm trying to get mud into the slide to try to wear the arrow out. My only concerns with these spring slides is being metal. Other metal slides that we've used in the past have dug into the arrow and made them wear out prematurely. So we chose a black arrow for this test, hoping that it would show any kind of cuts or scratches on the arrow. And we're not seeing any on here. There's a couple little minor ones, but it's still basically brand new, and there's over 100 shots on this arrow. So yes, over time, is a metal slide going to wear this out? Absolutely, but it's going to take thousands of shots to do so. The spring still looks good. It's in shape. There's not been any deformity. It hasn't pulled out. No worries there. The only problem I found so far is a screw at some point must have got pulled on and it's kicked back. So stay tuned. We're going to go hook it in the come along and do some final testing of it. Alright, let's go ahead and go over this test. I got a piece of square tubing that I welded the tip to. Have the arrow come down here. See here, I have a brand new screw. I went ahead and cut the old one off, drilled it out, put a new screw in there. Run this down. Brand new line on here going to the scale. Have 200-pound test. Muzzy braid going to the scale, going to the come along, hook to the truck. So we're going to jack this thing up and figure out at what poundage something fails in the system. It kind of deformed, bent a little bit, but it's still pretty much intact. The screw held. The line actually broke, but I forgot to hit record on this camera. So test one actually was pretty successful. 100 pounds, the 200-pound braid snapped. That's pretty good for 100 pounds of force because the screw didn't move at all. So I'm gonna put a brand new spring on there, retie the line. Hopefully remember to hit record this time. Let's try it a second go. Alright, so what did we learn from this final test? Well, 200-pound braid breaks at just over 100 pounds. The spring slide, get it zoomed in here for you, it's obviously deformed, yes. But it was pulled against this screw, and that's all it moved. It was standing straight up and down. Over 100 pounds of force, and it really didn't bend that much. It's got some slide to it. It's grippy more than it was. It's definitely a lot tighter, but it still slides, it still works, and it's gonna hold your fish. The screw, the thing I was worried about breaking off, didn't break off. It's still in there. It didn't splinter out, and it's not bent back at all. I think earlier what was happening was I was shooting and hitting the ice. I think the screw might have been deflecting off the ice because it didn't have that problem before I started shooting into the ice. So I don't think the tension of the spring hitting the screw is actually causing it to bend out. I think it's just from hitting things when you're shooting. So that worry has gone. Overall, final thoughts. Yeah, it's a metal slide on a fiberglass arrow. It's going to eat your arrow. But we put over 100 shots on this thing, and there's hardly any wear in the arrow. So it's going to take a long time before it does that, just like any other metal slide. It's going to hold your fish. It's not going to break, and it's going to work. So if you're interested in getting these, check them out at Loxley Bowfishing. Thanks for watching our video. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and you can check us out at firehousebowfishing.com.